Good morning, dear students. Today we shall discuss the major fields of linguistics. However, before we do that, let us have a quick recap of what we have already done earlier. Like we have completed the topic what is linguistics, we have discussed the definitions, we have discussed the nature of linguistics and also the scope of linguistics. And today we are going to discuss different fields of linguistics, but I want you to have a recap of what is linguistics, whether you remember it or not. Linguistics is the scientific study of language. I hope you remember this definition. This is something very important, sir. It is the shortest and the best definition, I must say, on linguistics. Linguistics is the scientific study of language. Language is a phenomenon with many layers. Yes, it has many layers, from the sounds that speakers produce to the meaning that those sounds express. Like, I'm speaking to you, so I'm producing sounds through my vocal tract. And these sounds are not baseless or meaningless. They all have meanings. So that is why language is a phenomenon with many layers, from the sounds that the speakers produce to the meanings that those sounds express. People communicate through body gestures. It's not that we communicate through a spoken and written form. We also communicate through body gestures, body language. Hence, they also come under language system. So you may say that language is expressed or communicated through three different mediums, major mediums, which are spoken form, written form, and gestures, body gestures. Linguists work on specific languages, but their primary goal is to understand the nature of language in general by asking questions such as: what distinguishes human language from other animal communication systems? It's not that only human beings communicate. Even animals communicate among themselves. They also communicate with one another. But it's just that their language is not comprehensible to us. We do not understand, but they do communicate. However, in phonetics or say in linguistics, we are simply concerned with the human language. But this is also an area of curiosity for linguists, and they try to know what distinguishes human language from other animal communication systems. And do you know, it is said that there was a Prophet Solomon, and Prophet Solomon could communicate with birds. He could understand their language. He could understand what they were talking, and they would gather around him and discuss their things with him. This we have read about Prophet Solomon. I hope you too must have read or say heard from your teacher. What features are common to all human languages? There are thousands of languages spoken all over the globe, and they are all very different from one another, yet they have some common features also. So linguists are interested in finding out the common features in those human languages which are available for their study. How are the modes of linguistic communication, speech, writing, sign language related to one another? Now these are the important modes, as I told you earlier: speech, writing, and the body language, body gestures, sign language. How are these different modes related to one another? How is language related to other types of human behavior? Besides communication, there are different other human behaviors too. How is language related to other types of human behavior? How can foreign languages best be taught and learned? This is one of the major major area of study for linguists. And we also have this in our syllabus also. It's a part of applied linguistics. How can foreign languages best be taught and learned? Now, people are not confined to their own countries, their own places. They go to different lands for studies or for doing jobs and all. Since they go abroad, they have to learn languages of the foreign countries as well. So this is an important area. How can foreign languages best be learned? And linguists try to find out how foreign languages best be taught and learned. Sometimes, you know, our native language, that is our mother tongue, is a hindrance, and sometimes it is also an advantage, also beneficial, I mean, in learning a foreign language. How can the language problems of people with the speech abnormalities be analyzed and rectified? This comes under clinical linguistics, like you know, there are people who have speech abnormalities. There are a number of, like to name just a few, like stammering, lisping, or say some have even some are dumbness is also one of the speech abnormality. So there can be a number of speech abnormalities. How these abnormalities be analyzed and rectified? How are linguistic issues in legal matters to be handled? What are the points of similarities and dissimilarities in L1 and L2? Now, what are the points of similarities and dissimilarities in L1 and L2? This is again a very important point. Like L1, our mother tongue, we learn naturally. We listen to the language there in the environment. We listen to our parents, we listen to our siblings, we listen to our relatives or the people around us, and we pick up L1 very easily. Whereas in learning L2, we really have to put in labor. So how can this be learned, L2? This can be learned with the help of L1. Sometimes L1 can be useful in learning it, as I told you earlier, and sometimes, yeah, it can be a hindrance. So how to minimize those hindrances, and how to say maximize the benefits of L1 in learning L2. This should be the target of any language learner for that matter. So what are the points of similarities and dissimilarities in L1 and L2? It is an important area for linguists to study.